Hello and welcome to City Connection. It's Monday, August 4, 2025, and I'm your host, Allison Donahue. Brought to you by the Grand Rapids Community Media Center, this live program connects you directly with our city officials, giving you the chance to hear the latest local news and ask questions about the issues that matter most to you. Joining us today is Public Works Director John Gorney, I'm so sorry. And later on in the show, we'll be joined by City Commissioner Lisa Knight to answer some questions from you. But first, let's go over some of the latest updates from around Grand Rapids. The City of Grand Rapids has launched a 2-year pilot bonding program aimed at helping micro local business enterprises, also known as MLBEs, particularly small construction firms, overcome barriers to bidding on larger public and private projects. To participate, businesses must be MLBE certified, pre-qualified by the city's engineering office, and eligible for contracts under $250,000. The program connects up to 8 qualifying businesses with bonding agencies and certified public accountants, enabling them to compete more effectively. Effective today, August 4, Benjamin Rance began his role as the city's new emergency manager. The emergency manager coordinates the city's preparation, response, and recovery for disasters and major emergencies, from severe weather to public safety crises. Rance brings with him over a decade of emergency preparedness experience from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, where he supported cities across the U.S. Grand Rapids has now marked 3 years of its mental health co-response program, where Network 180 clinicians ride alongside police officers on mental health and substance use calls. According to a recent report, the initiative has fielded over 4,200 cases, averaging about 4 calls per day, helping divert community members from ER visits, ambulance transports, or jail. The Pleasant Peninsula Mural Festival wrapped up last month, transforming the underpass at Front Avenue, just south of the Blue Bridge, into a gallery of 21 murals, each spotlighting a threatened or endangered Michigan species. Artists from across the state and beyond collaborated with local scientists to ensure accurate depictions and enhance public understanding of local biodiversity. The Grand Rapids and MDOT, the Michigan Department of Transportation, have taken a major step forward with plans to redesign the congested and sometimes dangerous Wealthy Street interchange over US 131's S-curve. Last week, the City Commission approved a $7 million agreement with MDOT to study whether to flip the configuration, making Wealthy Street at grade and raising US 131, or modernize the existing layout. The project is funded by a $10 million Michigan Economic Development Grant awarded a few years ago, now being allocated toward environmental review, design work, and utility relocation. Traffic volumes of around 120,000 vehicles per day and frequent crashes have made this one of Kent County's most hazardous spots. Grand Rapids will host National Night Out on Tuesday, August 5, with dozens of neighborhood-level block parties, an annual public safety and neighborhood unity event. Residents, elected officials, law enforcement, and city staff will participate in family-friendly block parties across multiple neighborhoods. The goal is to foster safety awareness, build community among neighbors, and celebrate local collaboration and crime prevention efforts. Check the city's website to see if your neighborhood is hosting a block party. That's it for city updates this month. When we come back from the break, we'll be joined by Public Works Director John Gorney. Welcome back to City Connection. I'm your host, Allison Donahue, joined by John Gorney, the Grand Rapids Public Works Director. This month, we're focusing the conversation around trash and recycling here in Grand Rapids, so you're the perfect person to have on the show today. Before we jump into a few newer things that are going on, some possible upcoming changes and conversations the city's having around our trash collection system here in the city. Can you just tell me and our viewers a quick overview of what the Public Works Department is responsible for in Grand Rapids?
For sure. We have two main divisions. One is obviously materials management. So that includes trash collection, recycling collection, yard waste collection, and operation and maintenance of the compost facility. And then the other half of our department, the other division, is street maintenance. This time of year, street maintenance includes street sweeping, collection of dead animals in the road, a lot of paving, pothole patching, curb and gutter replacements, that sort of thing. And then, of course, during the winter is winter operations or snow plowing and salting.
So when folks have issues or questions about trash pickup, or they have a dead bird on their street, who do they contact? Is it directly to your department or 311?
311 is the best way to get a hold of our department.
Great to know. As Public Works Director, what's a typical day look like for you?
I don't think there is a typical day. Every day is a little bit different. Come in with a plan, but the plan always changes depending on what's happening for the day. And then we also respond to other emergencies or things that come up throughout the day, so there's never a typical day.
How did you find yourself in the world of Public Works?
It was actually by accident. 30 plus years ago, I took a job with a neighboring community and was able to start out at the entry level and work my way up.
Cool. How long have you been with the city of Grand Rapids?
4 years.
Cool. In this department the entire time?
Yes. Yep.
A little bit more about the city's trash pickup system. How does it work? Does everyone have the same pickup day? Is recycling and trash and yard waste on the same day as well?
So it varies. No, not everybody has the same day. We have different routes throughout the city, and the routes are set up either refuse routes, recycling routes, or yard waste routes. And so they vary based on your location. The best way is to go on the city's website, and you can look up your area and find out your collection day for any one of those services. What
if you miss putting out your bins the night before and you hear the truck passing by in the morning?
Yes, that's very common. I've done it myself. You can pay a fee. There's an extra fee if you want to have a return trip. As far as how it works, though, the pay-as-you-throw system is a really good system so that if you do miss, you don't get charged. So that's a good benefit to that program. But ultimately, you can call and we can come back for a missed service.
And one of the newer things, I believe within the last year, is that the recycling trucks have cameras. Am I right about that?
Yes, that's correct.
How does that work? And what does it do?
Yes, so the recycling and refuse trucks have cameras on them. There are multiple cameras all around the truck. First of all, it's for safety of the driver and the people around us, making sure that we don't back over or into a car or something like that. But also we have forward-facing cameras that we can see whether or not a cart is out. So for instance, if someone calls for a missed cart, we can go back and look, was the cart out, was the cart not out? Was there an Amazon truck parked in the way we couldn't see the cart? That's very common, things like that. So the cameras are meant for that, for those purposes.
Is there, what I'm remembering is you can kind of see what's being dumped into the truck as well. Tell us more about that. What is the purpose of like checking to see what's in folks' trash and recycling?
Well, it's not necessarily to see what's in there, but to make sure the cart is empty. So the drivers have cameras that actually see the cart. They can line up the cart with the arm, tip the cart, make sure the cart is empty, set it back down. We did have a pilot program a year or so ago.
Oh, that might be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, where we were looking at what was dumped out of recycling carts, and then the system would identify items that were not recyclable, and then focus in on those, snap a picture, but then blur everything else out so that no personal information or anything like that was shared.
So it was a pilot program. Why did the department decide not to make it a full-time?
A couple reasons. One, we had a grant for the program. It was very expensive. We have, however, done some research on some other opportunities that are very similar. So we're going to continue the program, not as a pilot going forward, but with a different system.
I imagine that a lot of that is more around education too than
Exactly.
it is. Yeah.
Exactly what it was. So the system that we were using then generated a postcard, and it sent it to that property with some information about recycling and better habits.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big part of the department's work too, is just teaching people how to recycle and what to recycle.
It is. We actually have a recycling coordinator who works for our department, and she does a fantastic job.
Have you noticed in your 4 years if that has improved over time, like folks' knowledge of what to recycle?
As far as metrics, so we track all of the metrics, we've seen a slight uptick, but overall for the last 20, 25 years, it's been pretty flat for the whole county.
One of the bigger news that's going on, and I know the city's been talking a lot about it, I believe there's a survey out there for public input, is the single hauler trash collection system. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Sure. So the city is an open market, meaning anybody can be a trash hauler as long as they're licensed through the city to do so. And we do have several private companies besides the city. The city is in the mostly the residential business. We have some small commercial accounts, but the bulk of the business is residential. And we have about 90+% of the residential market in the city. So the rest of it is spread out between the other haulers. In 2020, the city had an operational study that was completed, and the conclusion, or one of the recommendations from that study, was to become the sole or single hauler. In 2024, we had another study, a rate study, that concluded, and a similar recommendation came out of that study as well. The main reasons for those recommendations were, we're driving down every street every week past all these homes that are not customers. So we're doing that. And if we were to become a sole hauler, we would have fewer trucks on the road, so to eliminate wear and tear on the roads and cut down on greenhouse gas emissions. So those were the top two things. Ultimately, it's efficiency. It does make sense.
Interesting. So can you explain what this change would mean for Grand Rapidians? I know you said 90% of the city probably wouldn't notice that this is happening for them. What would it mean for the other 10%?
Yeah, ultimately they would drop their private hauler and become a customer of the city's.
I know it's not implemented now, but would that be something that would automatically kick into place for them, or would they have to sign up with the city?
It would take some time to implement, mostly because when you have a contract with a private hauler, there's a time limit on there or a time frame, and we wouldn't want to have people just get started with a private hauler and then all of a sudden have to switch. So we would phase it in over time. There's also some other factors on our end too. We would have to staff up, meaning we'd have to hire some new people. There might be another truck or two that we have to purchase, and that takes time. So ultimately, if approved, we would be looking at a full implementation. I believe it's July 2027. So there's some time behind that.
Yeah. Can you explain, from what you've heard so far from either public comment or what you've seen from the survey, what the concerns are from residents that you're hearing, and what the city is doing to address that feedback?
Sure. The two biggest concerns that we've heard are, one, people don't want to lose their choice. They want to make sure they have the choice to decide who they want as their hauler. And secondly, there have been some concerns about customer service on the city's part. And so we're in the process right now reviewing all of our requirements or restrictions or anything that we have in place that we could do to help improve the service that we provide.
Great. And what would this mean for the companies currently offering these private trash services? Would they have to move out of Grand Rapids, essentially?
Essentially, they would. And what we've done is we've met with two of the larger haulers. The first response they said was they were very surprised that it took the city this long to come up with this plan, because it's been talked about many times over the years. But ultimately, they have a bigger commercial presence than they do residential presence.
Okay.
So that's more of their bread and butter is on the commercial side.
And this wouldn't change the commercial?
That's correct. Nope.
And how would the collection schedules and routes compare to today's system? I know that you said that you'd have to hire some more folks.
Yep.
And it's probably about a 10% more lift if I'm going to do my math there.
You're right.
But is that something you're considering as well, changing routes or
Yes.
schedules?
So what we've done is we've looked at the entire city where our customers are, and then the properties or residential properties that are not customers. We've done an overlay. So we've looked at what routes would need to be modified. Some we could simply add to the route. Others we would have to adjust. The routes that we have now vary from 650 stops in a day to 1,200 stops in a day. So more of the inner city where the homes are closer are larger routes just because you're hitting so many on one street. But ultimately, some of the routes can just simply be expanded. Others would have to probably be cut into two routes. But ultimately, it's about a 10% change, not hugely significant, but significant enough that we'd make some changes.
And who ultimately makes this final decision? Is that the city commission? Is that?
Oh yeah, city commission. So we're in public engagement phase right now. We'll be continuing the survey through the end of August, through the end of this month. At the conclusion of the survey, we're going to take that information plus all the engagement that we've had with neighborhood associations, rental property owners associations, Chamber of Commerce, take all that information, put all that data together, present it to City Commission, and then it'll be left up to them to make a decision which direction we go from there.
And where can folks find the survey? I'm guessing it's online.
It is online. On the city's website, it's the best place to find it.
Great, and it's open until the end of the month?
End of the month,
August. Great. If anyone has more questions about the single hauler option that's out there, where should they go to learn more about it?
They can go to the Public Works page on the city's website, or they could email me directly if they have specific questions that I could possibly answer.
Cool. Moving on to more trash questions, but not necessarily single hauler. This one is a personal one to me because on the end of my street for the last 3 or 4 weeks has been a beautiful chair that's been getting rained on. So how does the city handle large or bulky items that people set out, like this chair that's been sitting on the end of my street?
Well, typically, the individual, the property owner or the individual who sets it out there would obtain a bulk sticker for the city to then come back and collect that item. There's a couple different ways you can do that. You can do it at City Hall or online. If you do it online, it generates a work order for our staff to do that. If there is no bulk sticker, ultimately, if we get a phone call, we will collect it, and then the property owner is assessed a fine for that collection.
Does the cost of the pickup vary on the size of the item or?
Quantity more than
Okay.
size, yep.
Okay. And how long does it usually take? Like if you had a couch you wanted to get rid of, how long would it be sitting on your curb?
Well, this time of year is very, very busy for bulk collection. Generally, we are there within a week. This time of year, it's up to 2 weeks right now.
Okay. So get the sticker first before you
Yes.
set it out,
Yep.
probably.
Exactly.
Good idea.
That's part of the instructions when you get the sticker.
Okay. Another thing that we've been hearing about is the issue with throwing away lithium-ion batteries
Yes.
and what it means for pickup trucks. How big of an issue is that here in Grand Rapids?
It's a very big issue. So we've been trying to get some education out there for lithium-ion batteries specifically. In the last couple years, we've had 4 fires in our trucks. One was a total loss, and those trucks are not cheap. They're $300,000 plus. The other 3, we were able to work with the fire department to get the load unloaded and extinguished and save the truck. But lithium-ion batteries, I mean, they're showing up in all kinds of different places now, and so it's best just to communicate directly to Kent County because they can take those batteries safely.
Okay, and one of the most common ones that I don't know if people think about because they hear the word disposable, but disposable vapes.
Yes.
But I know that those have lithium-ion batteries in them. So
They do.
I'm guessing that is a concern.
For the couple fires, we were able to find out exactly, we got it out soon enough, we found out, fire department helped us figure out where it came from as far as what was the source. And 2 times they were identified as a vape pen. One of those 2 times, it happened almost immediately after collection, so we were able to trace back to the individual property and at least let the property owner know that that was not an acceptable item to be thrown in recycling cart.
Yeah. If it could get traced back, could they be held accountable?
We haven't gone down that road yet, but if we're talking about the loss of a truck, that would be significant to an individual, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm just interested, like, how does it happen?
Well, so there's they get crushed, the material gets crushed or compacted, and when it gets compacted, it'll break and cause some friction, and then all that material in there is flammable.
Gotcha.
I think what's difficult for most people is it could be disposable or reusable or whatever. It's really important to make sure they check what is actually recyclable with our local facility. That'll help them identify what they should do with that. And same, you don't want to throw it in the trash either because it'll do the same thing. So you really need to work with the county for proper disposal.
Is that listed on the website anywhere? Like what to throw away, what not to throw away?
It'll be listed on the city's website directing folks to the county's website. And then there's a plethora of information there.
Cool. And what items do people try to recycle that really shouldn't be in the bin? What's one that like really grinds your gears every time?
I don't necessarily get upset about it because for us it's more about we want to educate folks. One item that is recyclable but not accepted at the recycling facility is clothing. And so we have a good partnership with Goodwill if folks want to recycle their clothing.
It is recycle. So yeah, I guess hold on, let me get my thoughts
Reusable,
in here.
recyclable. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So does Grand Rapids have a private recycling? Have we talked about private like trash pickup, but do we also have private recycling, and is that?
So the private companies do offer their own private recycling collection. Typically, it's going to be more cost effective for the resident to use the city's recycling because it's already covered in a property tax millage. So if they have a private hauler, they're using their recycling, they're generally going to pay a little extra for that.
Got it. And where does our trash and recycling go after it leaves the curb?
Sure. So everything in Grand Rapids, we are under an ordinance by the county, and so we're required to take the trash to the waste energy facility. So it is incinerated, turned into energy, and then all the recycling does go to the county as well, but to the recycling facility. And then from there, they have multiple outlets that they have to determine where the best price is for that particular commodity.
Great. Great, well, thank you. I think that is all of the time that we have for this part of the conversation, and it's time for us now to take another break. When we return, we'll be answering questions from viewers like you. To take part in the conversation, send in a question to cityconnection@grcmc.org or submit a question through the Rapidian's Instagram story @TheRapidian. Welcome back to City Connection. It's August 4, 2025, and we are joined by Public Works Director John Gorney and now City Commissioner Lisa Knight. During this part of the show, we will be taking questions from viewers like you, starting with a question from Reddit. Would the city consider sweeping the streets and even sidewalks downtown throughout the year? A lot of trash and debris have been building up in storm drains, curbs, and public rights of way, and I am sick of picking it up around my neighborhood.
Absolutely. So in the downtown area specifically, though, we have a separate contract with DGRI, so Downtown Grand Rapids Incorporated. So I'd have to know exactly what streets they are. They can email me like we talked about earlier, or call our department at 311 would be the best way to get a hold of our department. We can figure out exactly what streets we're talking about and then make sure we are attentive.
If people are seeing like excessive trash building up in storm drains, would that also be a 311 call?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Another question from Reddit. The city-run trash collection seems to be a total expulsion of private trash collection. Does that mean the public owns and runs the trucks, buildings, etc. that make this happen, or do the private companies still get used in some way?
So back to the earlier response, the city is an open market, so anybody who's licensed can be a hauler within the city, and we do have about a half dozen other haulers within the city. As the city, we have about 90+% of the the residential market. The private haulers are the main haulers for all the commercial market around the city.
Another question from Reddit. What is the driving force behind public trash collection? The proposal mentions road stress and pollution from exhaust, but it's hard to fathom how this could make a direct impact on our community. Are there really that many extra trucks? Was the service bad?
So a couple questions in there, and I would say, first of all, the driving force, the city has been collecting trash for well over 100 years. Before there was private trash collection, the city's been doing it. So we've been doing it a very long time. And there's a lot of stuff that's historical that has just continued over the years. And so at this point, we're doing the community outreach. We want to find out what we can do better. Yes, garbage trucks are the biggest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. So eliminating trucks off the road will definitely help. They're heavy. They could be as much as 50,000 pounds when they're fully loaded. So absolutely, fewer trucks on the road, less wear and tear.
Yeah, I know we have some streets in Grand Rapids where trucks aren't allowed to drive on for that reason. Do garbage trucks get the pass for those streets?
In a way, yes. We are cognizant of that, and we know those streets very well, so we actually have smaller trucks that we use for those types of streets.
Another question from Reddit, and this one's a little funny, is recycling real?
It absolutely is. So we're not responsible for the end product, that's Kent County, but they do have multiple outlets where they can sell those products for a profit. Generally, they don't make a profit. They're more of a break-even, similar to us. They're a government agency, but they have to pay attention to the markets all the time and where those products can best be used.
I also learned recently with cans, Michigan has one of the most efficient can recycling programs in the country. Fun fact.
Hey.
Another question coming from Reddit. Who decides how the service is run? Is there another public official elected?
As far as trash service, I'm assuming this is the question?
I believe this is a trash question.
So we, again, a lot of it is historical. We do try to keep in mind that there are new ideas all the time and engage with the public so we can find out if there's something that we're failing at or something we can improve at. A great example of that is our compost facility. It's fairly new for the city, so we're learning a lot as we go, and we've had a lot of great comments from the public that have helped us adjust how we manage and run that facility.
Speaking of compost, that is different than the yard waste bins. Does the city do collection for compost?
So a couple different answers there.
Okay.
So all of the yard waste that we collect, we do process at the compost or yard waste facility. So you're probably talking more food scraps.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm thinking of.
We are just jumping into that world. So we have a test right now that we're doing at city facilities. Our phase 2 is we have these collection bins that we're hoping to put out in the community. They're enclosed, so they'll be hopefully as
Not too smelly?
Not too smelly, yep.
Attract our friends.
Yeah, so that's part of our public engagement right now too, is asking the community, where would you like these? We have some ideas, but we want to know where the folks out there in the community would like to see them.
Cool. Another question from Reddit. Does the proposal, and I believe this means the single hauler proposal, include new facilities or anything like that?
So no, it does not. But it is important to note that the Public Works Department is one of several departments that is going to be moving to the newly remodeled Scribner facility, which is the Kent County's old central complex, the Kent County Road Commission. So we are one of several departments moving there, and one of the new buildings that was constructed there is for the refuse division of our department.
Is it a bigger space? Because you mentioned the team would have to grow in this.
Yeah. We looked at that when we were designing the facility, yes.
Question from Wayne. Is there another city that has adopted the same trash and recycling model?
So would that be I'm going to guess pay-as-you-throw model. We have pay-as-you-throw is pretty unique to Grand Rapids, but there are other communities, a handful around the country, that also have pay-as-you-throw.
They might also be referring to the single hauler.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And there are several around the country and even in the state of Michigan that are single hauler.
And that might be all of the questions that we have from the public. I thought we did have a few that were about.
They might be loading up a couple.
Okay, they might be loading up a couple. I know that we had one about flock security cameras that I think was directed a little bit more toward you. Do you have any news for us from City Commission?
Wow, well, we just had our commission night out, and a lot of the initiatives that we've been talking about at the city were displayed there. And the city night, or the commission night out, is a good time for the public to come and talk to some of the different city departments and see what's going on in the city, and really have those real-time conversations with the people who are responsible in those areas and who can answer those questions right there on the spot, instead of trying to wait to get, a response back. And so these are a couple of the things that we're talking about. Of course, the refuse, of course, some of the conversations that people have been having about what's going on across our country and how it impacts us here at the city, and how we're approaching things through our policies. So that's kind of what we're focused on right now, as well as getting the land bank committee up and running. And that's something that should come forth in the next couple of months. So we're really excited about that.
Tell us a little bit more about that committee.
So the mayor actually has been looking to appoint people from different places within the city. So from our Black and brown communities, some from different wards, making sure that there's a good makeup of representation as we go forward with this land bank. So we just voted on shifting all of those priorities from the Brownfield Authority. And now, as we're getting established for the land bank, everything will switch over to them.
And this is one of the tools in the toolbox for addressing the housing issue we're having in Grand Rapids.
Absolutely.
Makes sense. We have a question from Ted. I live on the northern border of GR. Some of my services for our house are in Walker's jurisdiction, but we have a GR address. How could I tell if the single hauler change will affect my household?
Ultimately, I think we should get the email to me so we can look at the address and see if it's one that we would service.
Okay. So yeah, some people in Walker might have Grand Rapids trash center.
And the same in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
there's some people that live off of, let's say, Breton, before 44th Street, who are in Grand Rapids, and some of their services have Grand Rapids and some of them have Kentwood. So it's just really trying to figure out where people actually are within the boundaries.
That makes sense. Another question is the city expanding their emergency management operations, considering the federal cuts to local and state support for emergencies?
So that has not been something that we have talked about as of recent. Right now, we are really trying to see where everything lands with all of these cuts. Everything hasn't come down yet. We do know that in particular, there's one department within the city who would have the biggest impact if we lose these dollars, and that's going to be a number of jobs lost from the city.
What department is that?
The Community Development Department.
Okay. Yeah. Have you met with the new emergency manager yet?
No.
Okay. All right, well,
Not yet.
today was day one is what I've heard, so.
I try not to rush in hard.
Yeah, you can't bombard them on their first day. Another question, at the last city night out, there were a lot of people coming out on support of becoming a sanctuary city, or at the very least in support of the city not cooperating with ICE. I know public comment isn't a great place to have a dialogue, but I'm curious about Commissioner Knight's reaction to the comments.
I know that our community is, and this is communities across the country, who are very concerned with the things that are going on. We are all concerned. I work with a number of families that may be impacted and can see that through our programming that we do through my organization. And so it is something that we are definitely passionate about with our city commission. I do know that when this first started, our commissioners were all talking about how do we approach this as a city, what do we have in place, and literally began posting the policies that we have in place right now. And those policies put us under that title, right? So our police department does not work with ICE. We're not supporting them in any way. We're not doing their work in any way. The policies that we have in place on how we protect our citizens and how we care for the people that live here are those exact policies, and we've actually begun to look across the country to see how our policies are lining up with others, and they're actually very robust. And so I know that we're going to continue to post those out there, because a lot of times everybody doesn't scroll the City of Grand Rapids Facebook page. I don't spend my day looking at their posts, right? Or seeing the emails that come through. And so really trying to figure out better ways to get the information out to our community so that they really understand what's been going on and how we are reacting as a community. I think a lot of statements and things that have been made from some people is one part of the story, and a lot of times we don't get all the sides of the story, and so it's real easy to believe that one side. But I'm really hoping that we as a community can be a people that look at the totality of the circumstances of things that are happening, and people may not have the access that we have to find out. So if something happens, or somebody posts something, or somebody emails me something, I'm calling. I'm calling to get all of the answers before I make a response, because all that does is create more fear. So, yep, totally concerned about our community. I will stand up and stand with our community, but we are doing the very things that our community needs to try to help protect them at best. It concerns me that the statement that we make, even in these other cities that have these very same policies, how ICE is still violating people's rights. And so it's what can we do alongside what has been said to help protect our neighbors. And I think I said this at the No Kings rally, is supporting the organizations in our community that help support these families with food and supplies and rent and all of the things that they need, because there's a fear of them going to work or leaving the house. So supporting them that way. And I've seen across our country, our neighbors and our friends standing up when things are happening and pushing back. And I'm just going to leave that there.
And I will leave it with, tomorrow is your neighborhood night out. So there's a great chance to meet your neighbors, and that is the best way to help and support people, is to know who you live next to.
Absolutely. And there are quite a few
Yep.
going on across the community, and I would encourage friends and neighbors to come out and support and meet your, now, we have so many in each ward that we're hopping around all night long. So it's going to be a busy night tomorrow, but it's going to be exciting and engaging. Myself and Commissioner Sassy are always out in our community, always trying to connect with neighbors and finding out what's going on in our neighborhoods and trying to stay abreast of everything that's impacting them.
Yeah, it's neighborhood night out. Look into your neighborhood. It is time now for us to take another break. So when we return, we'll be taking more questions from the public. Welcome back to City Connection. We're joined by Public Works Director John Gorney and City Commissioner Lisa Knight, taking questions from the public. We have more questions. This one comes in from Jonah. I was really sad to hear that the WAG in Wade was canceled this year. Me and the fellow dog owners around Richmond would love to see it come back in the future. Looks like it was just a comment about it, but if you
Have
want...
them connect with their first ward commissioners, and maybe there's something they can get involved with.
I know that the dog fur was kind of messing with the pools and clogging up.
I can imagine.
Yeah, yeah. We had some pool issues. My one goal this summer is to go to one of the city's pools. I have never been.
Oh, wow.
It's my time.
Good times.
Question from Frankie. You mentioned the MLBE bonding pilot program at the top of the show. What is the impetus for that? Are there local construction companies that have felt left out from particular bids?
Well, I can answer that. I've actually got engaged with the MLBE program probably 8-10 years ago. And the purpose for setting up that was that they saw that there were a lot of smaller minority businesses who needed some of the tools to take a step up, right? And to really ramp up their business. But that's hard to do when you don't have the financing, right? When you don't have the money to help you really build your business. And so they came alongside them, helping them get some of the certifications that they needed, providing some trainings, and then connecting them directly with larger GCs in the community who were doing work and trying to find some really creative ways that the smaller businesses could work with some of these larger companies that were bidding on projects and be able to show what they could do, right? To show their ability to do these jobs and build these relationships so that they could get more jobs and really scale up. And so the part of that bonding process is a hard one for small businesses when you're started. When you're doing a lot of larger jobs such as the amphitheater, soccer stadium, at the airport, a lot of those jobs require bonding. And if you are a smaller organization and you can't get that bonding yourself, then you can't bid on that job, right? And so you're kind of stuck in this lull, kind of hovering, trying to really scale up your business, and it's really difficult to do that.
Another question from Reddit. Is there any thought given to improving wages and benefits for employees of the new trash service, given that it does not operate for profit?
Well, wages and benefits are part of a contract, so those employees are under the GREIU contract, and then there is also another manager level contract in there as well. So those are negotiated contracts.
Question from Reddit. This is the one that I saw earlier. The city has finally acknowledged flock safety cameras on the public roads. Is Commissioner Knight pro-surveillance? Does she support the city using surveillance on its citizens? If so, does she support the sharing of this data to other agencies outside of GRPD?
So those were a lot of questions. Using surveillance, I'm going to try to answer that the best I can, because surveillance on private citizens, no, and they don't use that for that. They're saying using it on vehicles, if I understood that correctly. We do not, and I think I know where this question is coming from, because there was an article or somebody was sharing some information saying that we were using them to track people who were not legal residents of the U.S. or in the city, and we do not do that. And that was a concern that we heard. And like I said, when we see statements that are put out there, we typically go and investigate and call the proper people. So we'll talk to the police chief, we talk to the city manager, our city attorney, and we make sure that we get all of the information before responding to things, because that's how it should be done, so that we're not responding incorrectly or with bad information. So using it to spy privately on people, no, we don't do that. And that's not what happens, and I don't support that. But they do use the system in criminal pursuits and in law enforcement, and it's appropriate for them to do that, to be able to do their job appropriately. Sharing the data with other agencies outside of GRPD, I'm not sure if that's something that happens, because again, I think this question is connected with the ICE piece, and just want to make sure that people understand. If you go back and read, and I'm gonna, we've already talked to the city about continuing to post the information on the policies that we have and how we operate, so people understand that that is not being done.
Can you explain what this flock security is? When people
So I'm not the flocks expert. My understanding of how it works is it can read license plates. And so when there's a crime or something that's happened, that technology can read what that is and be able to track or trace those people who may be engaged in some type of activity.
Okay. Another question that's coming from the latest Commission Night Out. The Michigan director with Humane World for Animals asked the City Commission to consider a humane pet store ordinance that would ban the sale of cats and dogs in pet stores. Is this an ordinance the city would consider adopting? Obviously, you can't speak for everyone on the City Commission.
I cannot speak for everyone on the City Commission, so we all heard the information. It is something that I would ask you to continue to talk to your city commissioners about and see if that's something that, there's interest in moving forward in.
Okay. It looks like those are, nope, we have one more from Bethany. Does bulk pickup work for appliances like a stove or dryer? Do I need to be a city customer to use their bulk pickup?
So yes, it does work for appliances, and no, you do not need to be a customer of ours to have bulk pickup. You simply need to be a resident, and again, you can go either to City Hall to get a bulk collection sticker, or that can be done online as well.
If you have a bulk item with a lithium-ion battery, can that be picked up with this program?
We would potentially refer that to Kent County for pickup.
Okay.
Yes, they're the experts with lithium-ion batteries.
Okay, deal. We had a few people mention today the Commission Night Out. What makes that different than a regular City Commission meeting?
Because they cannot engage with every single department during a regular City Commission meeting downtown. All of those people are not necessarily in the room when we have those meetings. Some people come to the early morning individual committee meetings, and then some people, depending on what's on the agenda, might be there for that specific meeting, but everybody's not there in that room. And Commission Night Out, we order food, so because we know that it's a dinner time, and we really want to encourage people to come, and so we order food, make sure that people can eat, and then we have all of these departments have a table in there, and they're talking about the things that they're working on, some of the priorities that we're focused on. You get to meet the people behind an email. You don't get to do that all the time when you're downtown. And so it's really good when you have all these questions or thoughts that you come and see who's who. Come and shake hands. Come and get used to the people that are there. Because a lot of times we have the mindset that, the city is this big scary thing, and that, kind of like the Wizard of Oz, and we don't know who's behind the curtain. Come see what's behind the curtain and talk to people and share your thoughts, because we can only do the work that we need to do with community. Yeah,
and my understanding too is that they take place in different parts of the neighborhood too.
Yeah, so we do them in each ward. So this first one was in the 3rd ward. I believe the next one will be in the 2nd ward, but I could be wrong. So make sure to go to the City of Grand Rapids site, and it will list when that is, but we'll also publicize it, make sure that people know. So yeah, we just want to kind of honor each ward and have people come, because you get different people that will come out just because it's a little bit closer to them and accessible.
And this last one, the focus was trash talk. Do they all have a theme like that?
I don't remember them necessarily having a theme.
Okay.
I think this was pushed forward because it's something that we've been talking about for quite a while, and it has been on the agenda for discussion. So now this is a time for them to collect community input and voice from the community, and then bring it back so that we can have the larger discussion with full commission.
We have another question. It's our last question. Through all the noise of the news and politics of the day, the environment is still under immense threat. I don't know if you've tried to breathe outside recently. And should be our #1 priority as a society. What is the city doing to combat climate change?
You want to take some? I'll take some.
That's a big question to
Yeah.
answer
It
in
is a big
in the little
question.
bit of time we have left. I would say on the operations side of things, we're looking at equipment and facilities. So whatever we can do to optimize our equipment, our facilities, I would say for our department specifically, we are changing all of our refuse trucks out from diesel to CNG. That's one step that we're making. We also have some vehicles that are now RNG, so renewable natural gas. That's throughout every department. We're looking at those options. I know that at the city bigger level, there's a lot more going on, especially with the cap.
Yep. We're having some new studies done on all of the city buildings to find out where they are in the process of really looking at how much energy they're using and the things that we can do to change some of that. But then we also have the climate adaptation plan that has been talked about. It came to the agenda. I believe it's gone back out for a few changes that we wanted to see tweaked in there, and it's going to come back to City Commission, I believe, at the end of the month or the beginning of next month.
Sounds good. Well, that's all the time that we have for our show today. Thank you so much to our guests, Public Works Director John Gorney and City Commissioner Lisa Knight, for coming in and sharing your insight. And thank you to all of you at home for tuning in and sending in your questions. Don't forget, you can always watch rebroadcasts throughout the month of August on cable GRTV's Channel 25 or the GRTV YouTube page. See you next month, Grand Rapids.